Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Todd Caputo, and I'm here with my good friend and fellow New Yorker. Well, I used to be a New Yorker, anyways. Tommy Vullo, who's the founder of SelectF&I. And Tommy and I have a lot in common. We are lovers of the car business and love making deals in the showroom, right, Tommy?
Right, absolutely.
When I first started to put these little, call it shows or podcasts together, you were my first guest, and that was 8 months ago. And I try to do this with progressive companies that really have a product that I believe can impact dealership operations, right? Help dealerships be more efficient. And I also like to really talk to people that are doing startups as well, because I think that the entrepreneurial spirit of the car business and just that can-do attitude of the car business, to me, is what really makes our business unique and special. And that was why I kind of chose you first, right? And now it's been about 8 or 9 months, I think, since we did it, right? And
Right.
NADA is coming up next week, a week from today, as a matter of fact, is day one. And we wanted to kind of update everybody about, how you're doing with the product. I know you've made a lot of different changes to it to make it even better. And just give us an update of your product more than anything else. But before you do that, for the benefit of the audience, just introduce yourself, right? A little bit of your background, and give us an overview quickly of the product and some of the updates.
Right. No, I appreciate it, Todd. And I was honored to be your first guest. So thanks for having me back.
Absolutely.
In the business, you're the guy, right? So
I don't know about
really
that, but
it.
there's a lot of guys and girls out there, but I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you.
So our company SelectF&I is based out of Buffalo, just on the throughway from where you were. And for me, I founded the company a few years back. I was working at a large dealer group, and I was a director there, really responsible for training and development.
Let's tell everybody who you used to work for, because
I used to work for Western Automotive Group.
Yeah, Western. So anybody that knows Western knows, number one, it's a great organization with a great owner. That's very progressive, and I think that means something. So you working there as a director is a lot. So I just want to just put that out there.
Great. Yeah. And foundationally, I the core vision for this company and finding this and getting away from there, I established this by myself, with my own support, and I was in a good spot financially, but at the end of the day, all dealers needed to change a little bit, but their values really didn't. We worked with great dealers, and they love to give back to the community, support people or their employees that were high individuals of earning potential. And communities that really thrive on dealership support. And so in starting this company, the vision was, how can I help dealers be recognized as good people? That's a mission. Because when I was at the dealership, I bought a nice house. I gave to charity. I raised my kids in community schools. But if I was ever in the newspaper for something bad, or even a bad Google review, it could really tarnish that name. So establishing this, people think I'm crazy because of what we're doing. But the whole underlying mission is that I came from good upbringings in the car business, working with good people. I need to show the world that all dealers are good people. There's very few that aren't.
And your product, right? And we're going to get into it very, very soon here, but your product really allows for some transparency and efficiency in the showroom, right? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's how I understand what it does. Right. That time when a customer is either on your website and they don't get the information that they necessarily need because there's not a level of transparency when you're on a VDP and you're trying to figure out which payment's going to be on a car or what it's going to cost you. And then when you're in the dealership, one of the things that I always hate about a lot of the problems in the car business is the back and forth. I believe customers hate it. Right? I think they hate the back and forth. There's no reason for a salesperson to have to walk back and forth to speak to a manager all the times that they do in a lot of cases. So when I had my stores, we were one price, one person, and we really empowered salespeople with technology and a culture, so they didn't have to do that. And it creates a level of trust, in my opinion, with consumers and car dealerships, because why would you trust somebody who has to walk back and forth, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times to get information when it's 2025 now and you have all this technology? You don't need to do that, because when people walk back and forth, you lose trust. And also, what do customers do? As soon as the salesperson gets up and walks away, they get on their phones, right? What are they doing on their phones?
Right.
They're
Well, let me even turn that a little differently, Todd, right? I don't focus on the customer buying the car. I always felt if the salesperson was more confident and the management team was more confident, it would be portrayed. Like if you ever dealt with a guy that sold 700 cars, the customer never questioned a thing about it.
yeah.
But half of your staff turns at like a 90-day pace, and half of them stay there forever. Who the hell knows what half of them say or the other half? So the idea is, if I could think like a director of finance that studies the banks all day and night, and I can get that power behind a tool so that first quote is really accurate with reason, we'll change this business. Because you did it, right? People go to trading simple on the price of the car, right? It's either this is my best price and it's the only price, Todd Caputo, used car king. Or a lot of people say the best price is online price. So let's look at it. Oh, it's the same price. And that's what we say to customers now. And there's an inherent belief, so we don't negotiate the price as much. But when it comes to the rate, as an industry, we're all over the place, Todd, because there's no the why behind it. And that's what I always did as a human when I was in the dealerships. You know, if I strolled into a store and I sat at the desk for 30 minutes, everyone asked me, what did I think about the deal? Not the manager, not the sales manager, not the F&I manager, me, because they knew I knew what I was talking about on the banking side of it. How can we get that level of trust? And I would relay that into gross. If I was at a store for the day that made $5,000 a back end on Saturday, if I sat there on a Monday, they were making 20 grand. And I didn't do anything but give them faith. And what I said was the gospel. And it was because I never was too high or too low. I mean, sometimes, right, we're humans, but most of the time it had justification. Because you got to look at more than just what the person looks like or what they say they are. Got to look at all these different data points, you know? So it's
Absolutely.
Like, how can we change the internals of the dealership so we believe each other? If you give me a quote, this is the quote. This is a quote. Let's go.
Well, let's maybe give everybody an illustration as to what we're talking about. Do you want to pull up any screenshots or anything like that, just to give a quick demo of the product? And really, the enhancements that you've made to this product, really, to me, are really what we want to focus on today, because you've made a lot of great changes to this based on all the dealer groups that you're now, signing up and using this.
Yeah, and we're so blessed to have such a great team around us, and we just keep on enhancing that team. So now we're in, we really started in the Northeast. Now we're all over the U.S. I think we're in 20 states right now since we talked.
Wow.
Great. I know. It's
impressive.
It's been amazing.
It's a lot of time on the road, huh, buddy?
I have been in office. This is the first time I've been in my office in 6 days. So thank you.
Let's ask Tommy's wife. Let's ask Tommy's wife about that. Right.
But what we want to do, it's simple, Todd. We want to be the premier pre-desking to desking solution in the U.S.
So this is a desking. This is a desking tool, right? Just to keep it simple, right? It's a desking tool.
It's a desking tool. It's not a CRM. It's not a DMS. It's a desking tool. What is a desking tool? It's a way to show people payments. But we are enhanced. We use all of the lenders that dealership uses. We study the lenders using data science and ML models. Like, we have a data science team, right? How many people have that? And if I walk out of my office in Buffalo, New York, I have a building here. My development team is here. If I bang on that wall, my CTO is by far the best of the business, Joe Peacock. He's right there. Dealers come in here into our office and talk to us. We go into the field. This is how we're evolving it. So what I'll show you is an evolution, not from my mind, because I'm old now. I'm antiquated. I haven't been in the dealership for a couple of years. I got to listen to the dealer, but then I have to translate that language to the team.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's one of the reasons I was drawn to you and your product, because of the fact that your development team is here and because of all the experience that you and your team have in a dealership. Because what happens in a lot of cases, there's a piece of technology that's built for the car business, but it's not necessarily built by car people that have everyday experience in the showroom, in the F&I office, behind the glass working deals. And you have that, and having the literally people on the other side of the wall where you can get changes made if you get feedback,
Right.
and think of a new idea, to me is, I think that's great. So let's get into it a little bit. I've got it up on the screen here.
This is what we're going to be featuring at NADA. So NADA is in a week, like you mentioned. We're so happy to be able to be there. We've got my whole team there. We've got a booth by the main stage. Yeah.
You got a booth, buddy.
6025. So
stepping up in the world, got a booth.
Right. We made the cut for sure. We're really happy to work with NADA and just being around some great vendors and channel partners. And that's what we've worked on in the last year. A lot of integrations to make it more seamless inside the dealership experience, so we can push and pull to different places so they're not in a million windows. Ultimately, we want to show the dealer that we're helping them. And we want to help them get more deals. It's very, very simple. We quote inconsistently. So the dealership, if you look at my screen right here, this is data.
Can you do me a favor? Will you zoom in on it? Because I think it's going to be challenging for people that are watching this to see it unless you zoom in. Yeah, there you go. Right. That's good.
All right. So this is from my data science team.
All right.
And they feed this data to the machine learning models. And this is how we generate our rates and quotes, right? It's from decision data from our dealership experience. Unlike everyone else that quotes payments, they're using a very basic method or rate metric where it's like, based on this credit score, this model year and term, this is the rate and payment calculation. We use up to 300 data points per transaction. And that's real life. But so this is what we do. We meet with a dealer and say, okay, we integrate to Route 1 and DealerTrack to make it seamless for the transaction. But also I want that data to see, how are you performing on your loan approval? So how many deals get approved, declined, and conditioned? I asked the dealer that, and most of them have no idea. They say most or very little. It depends on their mood. But I want a true stat. So this is a dealership we work with that delivers a lot of vehicles. They're up to maybe 500 a month. So every
500 a month, the store?
Right. Yeah, it's a big store.
Okay.
And they were good process, good people, been in the business. I mean, real car dealers for sure, like most are in the US. 31.51% of their deals got approved. Almost 52% got declined, and 16.5% got conditioned.
Wow.
We don't train. We're not a training company. We're a software company. We teach them how to use it, but it's very simple. When we launched it in their first month, they increased 4%.
Increased what?
Approvals of car loans.
Okay.
They're submitting roughly 1,000 car loans a month. It's a lot. It's a lot of submissions.
So those that have experience in F&I understand, right? Seasoned F&I people and desk managers that are submitting deals know that you can't just be shotgunning deals to banks.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem really in our business. And that, people say, oh, well, F&I managers are overpaid and this and that. Well, there's wisdom and there's experience in dealing with banks on a daily basis, knowing which banks to send things to. But unfortunately, there's good F&I people out there, but there's also a lot of very inexperienced F&I people too. So I think that this helps compensate for that. Is that fair to say?
Todd, it's difficult to do this piece of the business now because there isn't the rule book like it used to be. Hey, this is our rule book. And you can call Bobby or Susie and they can work with you. Exceptions are very limited at a lot of the lenders, especially the large lenders, because of disparate lending impacts on them. They have to be very cautious in how they overturn decisions. So you're seeing more and more banks getting rid of humans. So how can a human learn a computer? It's very difficult. That's why we have a computer learning a computer. So if you look at this stat, if this dealership would have listened to us on every decision, they would have been at 54.67%.
So how do you know that?
because we analyze all of their lending decisions and we run them against our predictions every single time, every single bank. And Ryan on our data science team can put these reports in real time. So we can run that and aggregate it. It isn't easy to do. It took a long time to build it. But at NADA, we'll be launching this. So if a dealer wants to come to our booth, we'll give simple instructions on how to work with us. There's no charge, but they can literally export a file out of Route 1 or Dealer Track. And we have a site where they can upload it. And we'll be able to print these out and go over it with them.
Oh, wow.
And we can show lender by lender or an aggregate. We can even show, their breakdown. I'd walk into a store and I'd talk to a finance manager, back in my day, right? I can say that now. And I'll say, hey, how's the month? Oh my God, everyone's got terrible credit. Okay, so you're feeling bad. Yeah, that's why my numbers are low. I'd pull their data, and this is where it came from. I did this on the manual version, right? So it worked on how to realign my team to make them focus. And I'd say, hey, listen, buddy, your average FICO score is a 740 this month. Remember the 80 leases of tier 1 deals that you did that you didn't really care about? You're just having some hard subprime deals. You're going to be fine. You got to step back, focus, look at the big picture. And why are your subprime deals not converting? Part of what we're working on right now with our dealer group is to show those conversions by FICO. It's like this dealer right now has a good blend of people. The average credit score is 616. That's pretty low. Or is it? I talked to a dealer who's like, I would love to see a 600 credit score.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have some dealers that their average FICO score is so high because they don't make it down the pipeline. That makes sense? So if they're a sub 620, they just never make it to the bank. And often what we see is they get quoted way too high, or they try to switch the car too early on what the customer wants.
So let me ask you a question, right? If I still own my dealerships and I went through this process with you, would you be able to tell me, well, yeah, this is what the algorithm shows your approval rate should have been, but would you also be able to show me some other banks I should potentially be working with as well, or no?
We try to stick with what you have. This is
Okay.
my big thing. Switching cars too early can be problematic.
Yeah.
Because customers really want what they want. Even if they can't get it, you have to give them the why. And if you don't have a person that can do that early enough, that's a problem. But also, you have a lot of banks. Most dealerships do. If you don't have a lot of banks and you've been turned off, it's a problem too. Right? Why did you get turned off? Is it because you had deceptive people or practices? I'm not sure. So we don't stay in that business.
A lot of times you get turned off just because you're not giving the bank enough business. They just shut you off.
Right. So will we evolve into that? We'll see in 2025. But right now, most of our franchise dealers that we work with, and even our independents, I have an independent that has 5 banks. So they do tremendous volume. They get we also live on the website as just the basic CTA on the VDP. All we need is name, address, date of birth, and it sends them the lead. And then the car shows up already booked out, and they see structure, they see everything. And we can see if it's a real lead or not. This little store gets like 200 leads a month, Todd. They have 3 people that work there. That's it. They have 3 employees in the front of the house. They do everything. Yeah. And
so you go to their website, they click a button. Let's call it a button, whatever you want to call the button.
Yeah, we white label it to them. Like, no one needs to know me. Who cares who I am?
And when the lead comes across, it's a soft pull.
Right. We only soft pull. We don't have any ability to hard pull. But yeah, we soft pull them and we analyze the data. And when a payment's quoted, so we're a little different than most desking tools. And we have that pre-desking solution piece of it where we do a frictionless interview. We don't have to interrogate the customer. I want to know their name, address, date of birth. Then our system will analyze their credit history, their car history, the depth of profile. So a 715 with one trade line of a deferred student loan isn't going to get the same quote as a 715 that has a deep profile that just might have some debt, but the income to justify the payment and the experience to justify the payment. So we're much deeper of a prediction than most tools out there. even progressive CRMs, they let the human punch in the numbers. We don't. The system punches in the numbers. It will say, this is it. So like, we'll look at this, for example. This is an actual quote, what it looks like. Guys, is 735, 715, and
Not
705.
seeing it. If you pulled it up, I'm not seeing it.
Okay, let me just change my screen here.
All right.
Because that's our core principle is like, we want to quote an accurate payment. We want the dealership to make more money. But we want to have that trust from the whoever's quoting the payment down all the way through the customer. And pre-desking and desking tools right now, there's just such a lack of trust because it doesn't, they just don't work at that rate.
Zoom in a little bit here and let's kind of walk everybody through what we have.
Yeah, let's look at this. So this person right here is buying a Tacoma, right?
Okay.
So buying a Tacoma, he's a 735, 715, 705. Yeah, he wants 72 months, 75 months, 84 months. Our system has already booked the car out. You can see it up here. It shows you the loan to value. And
all right, so let me stop you there quick, right? You say that it is it's already booked it out, but you know and I know that that's not always the case, especially with the VIN code, especially on Toyotas, right? So walk me through how good it actually books it out.
Yeah, we have the same integrations that the banks have. And with ours, because it's simple. So Todd, let me back it up a little bit here. I'll show you. I'll actually show you how it works. So this would be like a lead off the VDP.
Mm-hmm.
So customer puts his info, wants to buy a Tacoma, clicks, gives his name, address, date of birth. It comes into our system with a base adjusted value coming from all the different sources the banks could use. And then you can do a manual adjustment.
Okay.
And it's saved. So say it does have heated front seats. You click that, update it. You can also print this out and send it to the bank later. But what we do is we store that for the dealer so that it doesn't take time later in the process. You're no longer booking that car out afterwards. You're booking the car out now before you quote the payment. Because that's a core principle of my personal belief. How the hell can you quote a payment if you don't know what they're buying and what the structure's like? So we don't think like customers, like most tools. We think like the bank. And I've always thought like that, right?
Yeah,
so we have a very different approach. So then this is how, so you're in the business. Most people quote everyone the same rate to be consistent, but that just means you're consistently incorrect. Right? We're going to quote everyone based upon their credit worthiness, the car they're buying in structure, and every bank they have. Because if this guy or girl puts down 1,000 or 5,000, that could change the rate in the bank that could buy it. But I care about the dealer, right? The dealer is important to me, not the customer buying the car.
Mm-hmm.
The dealer can take care of the customer later. We're just a software company giving them advice. We're not a software company training on how to do business. I work with great dealers that already know what they're doing. They just need a little bit of help.
So the down payment changes, the term changes. Your software and your algorithms know that the bank may or may not change the rate, and you may have an opportunity to potentially hold the rate. Is that what you're telling me too, to make a little bit more money?
Exactly. But also we want to treat everybody the same. So we have our dealers adopt to the NADA fair desking policy. Mm-hmm. That's where we plan. So they say, okay, every deal has 2 points of markup because that's how we want it. It's not about the rate. It's about the markup. That's what they care about, right?
Yeah.
In case of an audit. So you could see this deal right here. Could you imagine quoting a payment of 17.98 on a Tacoma for 72 months on a 735? No, right? But because of the loan to value being so high, and we show that warning, this is the bank. It's even got a high fee potential on this customer. They're willing to give the full advance. No one else in the portfolio would do that. But if you scroll down, and that would be a top result. But this bank right here is willing to go down, and there's no markup on this deal, we're saying. This person right here is willing to give a 9.69 rate. So the payment drops to 688. We calculate taxes and fees, everything's automated. So it's a very precise payment. But if you scroll this down, Todd, they need another 1674 down to get to that rate. But you can see the markup profit, the flat profit, and even the back end allowance and what's included in the back end.
It's going to save an F&I manager a ton of time.
F&I managers love our product because when the deal gets to them, it makes sense.
Which is a big problem in a lot of cases because F&I managers get frustrated. They're like, wait a minute, why do I have this, I hate to use this word, shitty deal given to me, right? And I got to go through and I got to restructure this and restructure that. Now that this helps eliminate that, which is going to create more efficiency, I would think. And if everybody can save time, time is money. Am I fair and say, is that a fair way to put it?
Time, 100%. We don't have time. It already takes a while to test drive a car. I mean, we're in Buffalo, right? Car's frozen.
Yeah, right now, especially this time, it's buried.
It's got to warm up. It's buried. We
Jump
focus,
started, put air in the tires. Yeah.
Like, let's change the customer experience.
Yeah.
We spend loads of money on these beautiful dealerships. Wonderful greeter, wonderful coffee station, water station with 70 flavors. The bathroom has combs with Barbasol and, shaving cream and a lotion guy to lotion your hands. But then it comes to going the payment, we guess. We're just guessing.
Yeah, which isn't good, especially if you don't close them and you let them walk.
Right.
Right. So you got to get, if for some reason they don't buy that day for whatever reason, at least they're walking out with something accurate and not a range. Because a lot of times customers get ranged when they leave. And I don't think that's a good experience for a customer at all to let somebody go on a range. I mean, a lot of people might disagree with me, but I'd rather give somebody good, solid information to leave with, and not some sheet of paper with a bunch of crappy handwriting on it, like you and I were talking about last week when you mystery shop somebody. Right. That was awful. So I see Ford Direct there. Let's talk about that because you told me that you got approval through Ford Direct. I don't want to, take away your fire here,
but we're just testing some stuff with them right now. We're working with a couple different OEMs right now. So
you're working with some OEMs. You're going to leave it at that? You're not going
to? Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Later in the year, we'll discuss what we're doing.
All right. Well, that's a great thing. Yeah, that's
it's
like that's
now,
a really good
Todd,
thing
how
too.
can we now? We have all these decisions. There could be like all these different options that we ran. How can we quickly show the customer something that makes sense? And how can the salesperson or whoever's going to quote that payment believe them? Believe in it. So we would quote it like this: 72 months, $1,000 down, payments $854. 72 months, $2,674. Your payment $688. If we went 84 months, payment $677. This is no markup. This is 2 points, right? We give that information to whoever's quoting that payment. I don't believe we should tell them which one to show. I just want to give them the info. Mm-hmm. Make your own decision, right? And if you're uncomfortable showing the lender, you can toggle it off or the rate. But really, showing the lender and rate and having that transparency it is proven. We're showing it right now. You're making more reserve because people they trust the process. They believe in it. When it comes that quickly as well. And we say it, the training's simple. We look at you. That's why we did that soft pull. There's no impact to your credit or inquiry. We looked at the car you're buying specifically and every bank.
What about credit unions?
We will, credit unions, regional lenders. When we sign up a dealer, we use every lender they have the opportunity to work with. We don't charge lenders. And we are so good at getting data right now that the enrollment's so quick to program lenders. We have 340-ish lenders right now that we could offer, but we don't show lenders that you don't work with. Like I said, we just want to keep it pretty simple for that right now. And then after it's done, Todd, do we have a delay to get into the bank or what's the process? So what we changed this year was we always had the ability to go back to the customer and do an application that's pre-populated. But we wanted to do some enhancements. So we send the application back. Anyone can do that. Pre-populated, right? Just submit here. Sends them a text email back. but then it comes back into our system and not directly into Route
Oh, wait a
One.
minute. So that just went to the customer.
Went to the customer pre-filled for what they already gave us.
Okay.
They give us the rest of the info, but we found issues, Todd, in the business. Income's wrong all the time. And it's not because it's just customers' guess, or they just round it out. And it doesn't matter based on their FICO score. So we want to be accurate with that because we know lenders really look at income and affordability.
Of course they do.
So it's just, let's put some eyes on it. Let's not guide them and do it for them because that's not right. But let's let them do it. And then when it comes back into our system before it goes to the bank, let's look at it quickly. And if we have to get the customer involved and make a change, what we do, because everyone else sends it right to Route One, then you can edit it. And that, what's the process? If I put in $1,000 a year for income and that's wrong, and you call me and we change it, how do you change that? Do you have them do a full application again? Do you have to print it out and have them initial it? Like, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah.
So what we do is this: when someone changes in our system and we make them do it here, not in Route One, it texts the customer and says, XY, Todd Caputo has changed your monthly income. Any questions, please reach out.
So I would think from a compliance standpoint, that's huge.
Yeah, we think of the lens of compliance, but my lens is really simple, Todd. Is it the right thing to do?
Well, it definitely is the right thing to do
Right.
because we all, those of us who have been in the business for a while, understand some of the implications of not having the correct income on a credit application. And I'll just leave it at that.
Right. But I trust my people that work for me, right? And work with me at a dealership. But some people don't even know what's right or wrong. We try to teach them through classes. There's some good courses you can do on compliance. But I mean, when I started, I had no idea what was right or wrong. If you lower the rate and offer them product for the same price, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why? I think it just makes sense. Day one. No, that's payment packing, right? Altering applications and something like that. If you have a verbal over the phone, that might seem right to someone. But we just want to do a little extra, right?
You can't do that anymore. That's not right. You can't.
Right.
You just can't. No.
So we took it a step further and just did some enhancements like that. And other things you'll see, but it's still the same. Like, let's go to the bank now. And how can I reduce training in the dealership? That is really important. Like, sending a deal to the bank through Route One is really important. But if I have new employees and I want to scale my people to do it quicker, say I want a sales manager or a salesperson because we're busy to send the deal to the bank. I have to teach them Route One, give them logins? No. With our system, anyone can do it if you want to. We customize user permission levels per dealership. So if you wanted to send this to DealerTrack and you wanted to send it to this bank, you just highlight the bank and you hit submit to DealerTrack. It goes to DealerTrack and back. Done.
That's awesome.
We don't have to wait in line.
I would think too, right? This is helpful. How many times has a dealer gone through the experience of all of a sudden they walk into their store or somebody texts them or calls them and said, Jim, the F&I manager just quit, or he didn't give any notice, and they don't have literally, there may be some other people in the store that can help kind of back up, but they may not be professionals. This, I would think, would be helpful to, let's call it novices in F&I or people that aren't as experienced. Is that fair to say? Does this help with that?
Todd, listen, you work in a dealership long enough, you see it. I was at a store early out of my career, a Toyota dealership. As a finance director of the store, we were doing $350 a month, roughly. I had to take a lot of deals. I advised a lot of deals. There was days I didn't drink water. So I started ordering. People would make fun of me. This is when Amazon was, I'm going to date myself now. People didn't believe in Amazon. They're like, why would I buy stuff online and not know? But I was an early adopter to Amazon because I was busy. I used to subscribe and save 5 cases of water a month, liters. And they would come to my office at the dealership. And I had a credenza that was supposed to be for paperwork. And it was full of liters of water. That's how busy you get. It's like, can you let your finance manager go to the bathroom? Can they eat lunch? Can they go to the dentist? Sometimes no.
You're right.
But what?
I
But
never even thought of that,
what
but you're
was the
right.
skill set? Of
Especially
me
in a big,
sending a
busy
deal to the bank?
store. Yeah.
Was it a skill set that I could type in information and send it to the bank? No. It was stupid. It was clerical work. I needed to be selling product to people that need it. You know, the retention at the dealership, I would pride myself on selling service programs and supporting the dealership. And I will tell you, if there was a problem with their car, you know how many calls I would get telling my cars, I got a flat tire. What do I do? I'm like, what? Dude, it's 8 o'clock on Saturday. Why are you calling me? Well, because I have tire and wheel coverage. Okay, call the roadside. Do you have the number? Remember we programmed your phone when you bought the plan? Yes. Or remember you have the app because it was through a lease? You don't get that kind of customer satisfaction when you have a million things to do. And
You're
they feel
100%. That is a great point, because a
it's
lot
like,
of times F&I managers are taking those kind of phone calls because that's where they get directed to, and or they have to look up stuff about the warranty. You're right. Yeah, and there's a lot. Yeah. So
it,
it, at the end of
it's
the
part of the
day,
mission, man. It's part of the
yeah,
mission, right?
at the end of the day, I'm firmly, I firmly believe that 2025 is going to look very much like 2018, 2019 in this business. I think that business is going to be really good. I think there's going to be a lot of volume. I think we could sell 17 million new cars this year, right? I think that could be the SAR. I think the used car business is going to be good. It's going to be hard to get used cars, but gross profit, right, on the front is going to continue to erode. And I don't care what manufacturer it is. I don't care what, it doesn't make any difference to me. I just believe that grosses are going to continue to go down, and dealers are going to have to be extremely, extremely cautious of the cost of doing business. And they're going to have to give people tools in the dealership to be able to operate more efficiently. So their variable comp to gross stays in line. And one of the reasons why I like your product so much is because I believe that it helps with efficiency in a car dealership 100% and allows that comp to gross to stay in line. So just to close up here, what is your booth number at NADA? Do you know?
Todd, I
Did I
know.
get you?
I have memorized 6025.
So
So
booth 6025
by the
at
main
NADA,
stage.
by the main stage at NADA next week in New Orleans. People can go and see you there and
Right.
see your team there and get a demo. And you're telling me that they can actually just give you some information and you can actually pull their data?
Yeah. Listen, I've got dealers right now contacting us that they want to prep for it. So you can email me directly, just tom@selectfi.com, or go to our website, just selectfi.com. And we're working with them now to get some of that data and reports done. And like, let's do deals at NADA. Right? Let's talk. You bring your team by. It's only a 10 by 10 booth, but I promise you, it's gonna be worth a visit for sure.
It's going to be jamming.
Yeah.
Your booth's going to be jamming.
If you're like, I want to work with dealers that care about their people, not just care about their employees. Right? Do you want your employees to do well this year, and do you want to do well? Right? Do you care about how they're treating their people? Like give them a tool. I built the tool, and my team around me has taken what I just envision and taken it to levels that I just didn't think we could do. Right? And it's amazing to come back into town after a couple of days of being on the road and visiting and this and flying here, and like, holy shit, it does what now? That's great.
I would think you probably have a lot of people that work desking deals and hanging paper that are very thankful that you created this, and that the dealer was smart enough to put the software in the store. And I'm not here to plug you, right? Like, I'm just being straight. I got no financial interest in this, nothing. But I would think that when I was at my when I was up in New York for Christmas, I always go down to my old Chevy store and I see all my people and I hang out, because I just I'd rather be in the showroom than hanging around my family. Isn't that crazy? But I'd love the car business, so I'm still doing this. But one of the things that I noticed when I was there, and I always knew this, but it just kind of hit me, right? And we'll kind of close up with this. You have to have the skill of being able to multitask in this business, no matter what position you're in a store. like, because everybody's always doing typically more than one job. But if you're desking deals, if you're F&I manager, there's a lot going on. You got 2 or 3 salespeople coming in at once. You got a dealer trade guy coming in because he's looking for a dealer plate and a key. You got the phone ringing because you got a customer on the telephone. You got all different kinds of things going on all at once. And if you have the ability to have software that allows you to be more efficient, that's going to help you multitask better, because if you can't multitask, you can't be in this business.
Right.
I mean, straight up. So this helps allow that. So a couple of quick things we'll close with. If you want to get more of a deep dive in this product before NADA, if you go to toddcaputoconsulting.com, there is in the top corner, you'll see it says Rev Up, and that's got all of the interviews or podcasts, whatever you want to call them, that I've done. And they can watch the first show that we did, because we went into really in more of a deep dive of what it looked like customer facing and some of the process to get more of an idea. Or go to SelectF&I.com, or better yet, like if you're going to be at NADA, come and see you. Right? Did I miss anything?
100%. No, listen, I'm going to be there Wednesday to Monday, ready to roll. I'll be on that booth, ready to rock and roll with a great team around me.
Good. You got some great people, which is awesome.
Best in the business. We can't.
I mean,
seriously.
listen, what I love is I love the entrepreneurial part of this. I love seeing startups just kind of grind it out. And, you got a lot more dealers now than you did when we talked 8 months ago. We don't need to get into numbers, but you and I have talked offline about that. Your product has been really, really successful. As a result, number one, it's a good product. It's a great product. But number two, I mean, you guys are working really hard, right? You and I have had personal conversations about the amount of time that you spent on the road, you and your people, trying to get this rolled out. And you're doing a great job, and I applaud you for it. You and your team, great job.
Well, thanks for having me. I look forward to seeing you. And
we'll see you next week in New Orleans.
Right. Thanks, bud.
All right, brother. Take care.
Be good.